From a deadly case of Texas beer pong to a surgeon so bad he was brought up on criminal charges, this is what happens when Texas goes wrong. Number 10. Texas and Tesla. Tesla and Texas have a very bad history. Last spring, there was an incident in Texas when a Tesla test drive went horribly wrong. According to local police, the Tesla crashed and there was nobody behind the wheel when it happened. The Tesla vehicle was a 2019 Model S and it smashed right into a tree and burst into flames. One person was found dead in the passenger seat and another person was found dead in the back seat. Nobody was driving the car when it hit the tree. Firefighters had to use 32,000 gallons, 130,000 liters of water just to put the fire out. According to the wives of the men involved with the crash, they were testing out the autopilot feature of the vehicle. The men were 59 and 69 years old. They obviously hadn't thought that sitting behind the wheel was still the better option when using autopilot. The autopilot feature doesn't mean you can just sit in the back seat and sip a martini. These guys found this out the hard way when their autopilot test drive went wrong and they died in a fiery crash. Do you have a Tesla? Have you ever had any scares or accidents related to the battery? Or maybe the autopilot function didn't work right. Does the idea of letting a car drive you around give you second thoughts? Tell me your stories in the comments section down below. Then remember to subscribe to American Eye if you haven't already. Number 9. Gender reveal plane crash. A plane crash in September in West Texas was caused by a gender reveal stunt gone horribly wrong. According to USA Today, the crash happened when a crop duster stalled after dumping hundreds of gallons of pink water during what was supposed to be a happy gender reveal party. One of the passengers of the plane suffered minor injuries and the pilot was okay. It was lucky that nobody died though, as it was still a pretty close call. The National Transportation Safety Board released a report saying that the pilot dumped roughly 350 gallons, 1,300 liters of pink water from his aircraft, causing it to stall and crash. In Texas, everything is bigger, and that apparently includes gender reveal fails. In fact, gender reveal stunts in Texas have been getting increasingly dangerous. What began as an innocent way of revealing the gender of a couple's baby has turned into a sometimes violent spectacle, including guns and explosives and even wild animals. Why do people make such big deals out of gender reveal parties? It seems awfully excessive to me, especially given that gender is a construct, and we're well past the days where we should care if we have boys or girls, aren't we? What do you think? Number 8. Hookup gone wrong. A Texas date went horribly wrong when a disturbed and evil man decided that he would dismember a college student and then burn her remains. This sounds like something from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it happened as recently as 2016. That's right, it's real. Charles Bryant was finally tried for the murder of Jacqueline Vandergriff, as he should have been. But at the trial, his defense lawyer said that Charles wasn't actually guilty of the killing, but rather of tampering with evidence. Here's what allegedly happened, according to New York Daily News. The couple engaged in some less than usual consensual adult activities on September 13th. During the activities, according to the defense attorney, Jacqueline perished under some pretty bizarre circumstances. Charles then panicked, drove to his local Walmart, purchased a shovel, and then buried the woman's body. The poor girl had been a student at Texas Women's University, and she had met Charles one night at a local bar. After leaving the bar with Charles, her cell phone was traced to his home, her purse was found in his trash, and her body was found burned in a nearby park. The jury didn't buy it. The man was convicted due to his bizarre behavior, and the verdict was that he did in fact commit murder. Therefore, he was sentenced to life in prison, where he'll spend the rest of his life paying his debt to society. Number 7. Car deal gone wrong. Some people can't conduct business without resorting to violence, and when everyone is armed with a gun, that means people could wind up dead. And several did wind up dead in this tragedy from early 2021. A car deal went wrong in Texas and ended in 2 men being indicted on capital murder charges. This all went down in an auto dealership in Fort Worth, and the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office have now charged 2 men with the deaths of 3 innocent bystanders. It all happened when Lamont Cousins and Andrew Vandermeer got in an argument about the sale of a vehicle. The pair kidnapped Clayton Turrentine and Veronica Jones to a building in Palo Pinto and shot them, then returned to the car dealer's office and gunned down Virginia Lewis. The argument apparently had something to do with a bad vehicle. Lamont Cousins had apparently sold a used vehicle that had a lien against it, causing the dealership to lose out on a lot of money, not to mention the embarrassment by the sale when their customer got the car repossessed. Whatever argument that followed resulted in a bloody massacre at the dealership. Number 6. Boating mayhem. You can't even be safe on a boat in Texas. I like to go out for some time on the water, but this story leaves me wondering if that's such a good idea. Let me know what you think after you hear this. The Chambers County Sheriff's Office recently investigated an abandoned boat they found run aground in Galveston Bay. The boat had been rented and was due back to the rental company by 7 o'clock at night. The boat was found abandoned at 8 o'clock. A search around the area was quickly conducted by Texas Parks and Wildlife along with the United States Coast Guard. They found a 13-year-old girl nearly dead holding onto a life jacket. They managed to pull the girl out of the water, and she then told authorities that the rest of her family had drowned during a boating accident. Additional searching turned up the body of a 62-year-old man and a 31-year-old woman. Apparently, the family had gone out to enjoy a nice quiet day on the Texas water, only to somehow get separated from their boat and drown. There's no public information about the exact circumstances of the disaster, but it just goes to show you that boating isn't quite as safe as we'd like to hope. It's always best to have experienced sailors on board before you take a boat out into the water. In the end, you can only hope that this story serves as a cautionary lesson for other people who might want to take a boat out for a day out at sea. Number 5. Drunk toddler. Be careful what you're drinking when you go out to eat in Texas. A toddler recently got drunk at a Texas roadhouse after the waitress served the child sangria instead of the cranberry juice she had ordered. The Gilliam family were out for an ordinary Texas night celebrating a birthday. But their happy celebration ended in tears and panic when they were forced to rush Gabriella, their 2-year-old daughter, to the hospital because she was wasted. In case you didn't already know, 2-year-old kids should absolutely not be getting drunk. The family had just wanted to celebrate Derek Gilliam's 25th birthday. The family ordered dinner, they ordered non-alcoholic drinks, and they ordered a cranberry juice for the young Gabriella. Somehow, the waitress mixed up the cranberry juice with an alcoholic sangria. The little girl told her family that the drink tasted funny, and very soon she started acting strange. Within just a few minutes, she was sick as a dog and needed to be immediately rushed to the hospital. The alcohol was too much for her little body. The family was up all night waiting for Gabriella's condition to stabilize. Luckily, it did. The restaurant has since issued an apology and paid for all the medical bills. You might think that giving alcohol to a child would be humorous, and maybe it would be for a little while, but it's awfully dangerous. So let that be a lesson to you and all the other waiters and waitresses out there. Number 4. The Texas power failure. You'd think when you live in Texas you'd be better ready for hot summers, but you'd never expect a blizzard, right? After all, it's so far south it couldn't possibly get hit with a major snowstorm. But you'd be wrong, and Texas power companies never prepared for an event like that either. It resulted in a major tragedy. In 2020, Texas went horribly wrong when a paralyzing storm crippled power plants and local electricity grids, resulting in millions of Texans being left cold and powerless. With no heat or running water for days, the complete failure of the Texas power system left 30 people dead and 4.7 million homes and businesses without power. To make things worse, the temperature dropped to around -4 degrees Fahrenheit, -20 degrees Celsius. There was snow, freezing rain, and blackouts everywhere. Some people died straight up from the cold, while others died from carbon monoxide poisoning while trying to warm their houses using fire. Some of these people may not have been winning any Darwin Awards, but they still didn't deserve to die just because of a winter storm. But why did Texas fail so badly? According to CBC News, the power system was never intended to deal with severe winter weather. There was a huge uptick in demand for power to heat houses, and at the same time, 4 power plants lost their ability to generate power because of the extreme cold. Texas had never planned on getting hit with such a brutal winter storm, and their unpreparedness cost 30 people their lives. Number 3. Running out of air. This is one of the scariest things I could imagine happening to me. See for yourself though, you might be shaken after hearing this. We all know that Texas has had issues with immigrants crossing the border in dangerous ways. Well, in early 2021, a 911 call was recently made from a group of 80 migrants after getting stuck in a tanker truck and running low on precious air. The 911 call involved a man speaking in Spanish to the 911 operator. He told the operator that nobody in the truck could see anything, that they were stuck inside, and that they had no oxygen. A man in the background could even be heard screaming for help, although screaming while running out of air was probably not a very good decision. To make matters worse, the migrants didn't know where they were. Texas authorities had to begin combing the San Antonio area, even asking locals to help find the tanker. Even though ICE was involved in the search, the Bexar County Sheriff promised the public that nobody was interested in arresting the migrants, only saving them. The first priority was to make sure that those inside the truck didn't run out of oxygen and die. Months later, nobody knows exactly what happened to those migrants. They were never found, and neither was the tanker. We can only hope that all the people escaped, but it's also possible that they perished. Number 2. The worst surgeon ever. You may be shocked to learn that the worst surgeon in the history of surgeons comes straight from Texas. Christopher Dunch was such a terrible surgeon that he was actually prosecuted in Texas for hurting his patients. Dunch's online credentials included an MD and a PhD from a spinal surgery program. He had 5-star reviews. He was supposed to be a proper neurosurgeon. But he had actually curated his internet presence to appear far more skilled than he really was. He practiced medicine in Dallas for about 2 years and operated on 37 patients. 33 of them were injured either during or after the procedures. Many of them suffered from unbelievable complications, including permanent nerve damage and paralysis. 2 of them even died in the hospital. But despite all these horrible outcomes, Christopher Dunch was still able to practice medicine for a full 24 months before getting busted. Then, after a long and painful trial, this bad Texas surgeon was thankfully sentenced to life in prison and is currently incarcerated in Huntsville. Number 1. Texas beer pong. One of the last things you should ever do in Texas is play beer pong. At least that's the last thing that Lacey LaRose, a teenage student at Blinn University, should have done. At a graduation party a few months ago, Lacey got into an argument over the rules of the game. After the argument broke out, Ronald McNeil, the one who apparently thought he was the king of all beer pong, who by the way was 39, 20 years older than Lacey, got escorted out of the party for becoming angry and belligerent. After Ronald was kicked out of the party, everything calmed down and everything was fine. But the party was getting out of hand with almost 100 drunk people wandering around and causing trouble. But then when nobody expected it, Ronald McNeil returned with a vengeance. He brought a bunch of his belligerent friends with him, along with a gun. Then he shot Lacey LaRose 14 times while she collected beers in the backyard for a new game of beer pong. Talk about a sore loser. Ronald is now spending what will probably be the rest of his life behind bars. Do you dare step foot in Texas after hearing these stories? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and come back soon for another outstanding video right here on American Eye.